Rupanya ya, dalam diam, dalam keheningan, Malaysia ini sangat berbahaya ya. Mengejutkan bagi saya guys. Saya kaget ya, ternyata tidak seperti arus yang beriak ya, dalam ketenangan, tapi Malaysia ini sangat-sangat mematikan. Gila nggak tuh guys ya? Gimana saya bayangin ya, bahwa Amerika ternyata bergantung dengan Malaysia. Ini semua orang akan shock mendengar kabar ini ya guys ya. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Halo guys, berjumpa lagi hari ini bersama saya. Apa kabar Anda semua di sana? Tentunya seperti biasa, saya selalu menyapa, selalu setia mendoakan agar kita semua dalam keadaan baik-baik saja, sehat senantiasa jasmani juga rohaninya. Dan ucapan terima kasih sebesar-besarnya kepada Anda yang telah mensupport channel ini, kepada Anda yang telah setia menonton video-video dari channel ini. Dan bagi Anda yang baru bergabung, silakan kalian dukung juga dengan mengklik tombol subscribe dan aktifkan notifikasi bell. Like-nya jangan lupa agar tidak ketinggalan update video terbaru dari channel ini. Oke, di sini ada satu video menarik lainnya yang akan kita bahas bersama guys ya, kita reaksi. Dan ini momen yang sangat mengejutkan guys, asli sangat mengejutkan bahwa ada 5 negara ini yang sangat bergantung dengan negara Malaysia. Apa buktinya? Apabila Malaysia mengstop, maka 5 negara ini akan dalam masalah besar. Nah, menarik untuk kita bahas ya guys ya. Ternyata selama ini dalam diam, dalam keheningan ya guys ya, Malaysia itu menjadi rantai pasokan utama bagi beberapa negara, bahkan negara lain itu bergantung dengan Malaysia. Sangat mengejutkan ya guys ya. Nah, yang jadi pertanyaannya adalah 5 negara ini negara apa saja ya guys ya. Nah, saya ingin mengetahui itu 5 negara ini ya. Dan juga apa saja sih yang Malaysia kirim kepada 5 negara ini selama ini ya guys ya. Saya ingin tahu karena saya sangat penasaran untuk mereaksi video itu. Oke, tanpa banyak basa-basi kita akan segera mereaksi. Ini dia.
Wide, impacting some of the world's biggest players. In this video, we're diving into the surprising truth about 5 countries that would struggle to survive without Malaysia's unique resources and strategic support. You won't believe just how deeply these nations depend on Malaysia to stay afloat. So, make sure to watch till the end, because the connections we're about to reveal might just change how you see Malaysia's role on the global stage. Let's get into it. But before we dive in, if you're new here, hit the subscribe button and leave a comment. I subscribe and I'll personally welcome you into the family. With that said, let's get started. Malaysia stands as a vital player on the global stage, shaping economies far beyond its borders with its rich resources, strategic location, and booming industries. Often celebrated for its diverse culture and stunning landscapes, Malaysia is, in fact, much more than meets the eye. It is one of the world's top producers of electronic components, supplying the critical semiconductors and parts that power devices from smartphones to vehicles around the globe. Major companies rely heavily on Malaysia's manufacturing capabilities, making it a linchpin in the global tech industry. Additionally, Malaysia is one of the largest producers of palm oil, a versatile ingredient used in everything from food and cosmetics to biodiesel fuel. This makes it indispensable to numerous countries where these industries thrive. The country's rich natural resources, including petroleum and natural gas, also position it as a top energy supplier in Southeast Asia and beyond, while its rubber industry plays a vital role in global manufacturing sectors such as healthcare, where rubber gloves are essential. Situated strategically along the Strait of Malacca, a key maritime route that links the Indian Ocean to the Pacific, Malaysia controls one of the most critical passages in global trade, allowing it to influence the movement of goods that affects nations worldwide. This blend of natural resources, industrial expertise, and a crucial location has made Malaysia an irreplaceable player on the global scene. Now let's dive into 5 nations that would face serious economic and industrial consequences if Malaysia's support and resources were suddenly taken out of the picture. Nation 1. Singapore. First on the list is Singapore, Malaysia's closest neighbor and one of the most advanced city-states in the world. Singapore's relationship with Malaysia is complex and deeply interconnected. One of the primary ways Singapore depends on Malaysia is through shared trade routes. Due to its compact geography, Singapore relies on land access to Malaysia to connect with surrounding regions. Malaysia serves as Singapore's gateway to the rest of the Asian mainland, supporting its efficient trade flow, which is the lifeblood of Singapore's economy. In addition to trade routes, Singapore depends on Malaysia for access to fresh water, an essential resource that Singapore lacks in sufficient quantities. A significant water agreement between the two countries allows Singapore to draw large volumes of water from Malaysia, specifically from the Johor River. This arrangement has been in place for decades and is crucial for Singapore's everyday life, from drinking water to industrial needs. Without this critical water supply, Singapore would face severe shortages that would affect not only its citizens but also its thriving industries. If Singapore lost Malaysia as a resource partner, the effects would ripple across its economy and infrastructure. Trade disruptions would increase costs and cause delays, while a sudden lack of water resources could lead to a national crisis. Singapore's unique position as a global financial hub would be severely impacted, as businesses and industries rely on stability and efficient logistics, which would be compromised without Malaysia's support. Nation 2, China. Next, we have China, one of the world's largest economies and a manufacturing powerhouse. Malaysia's role as a supplier of critical resources such as palm oil and rubber is essential to China's production sectors. As one of the world's largest producers of palm oil, Malaysia meets a substantial portion of China's demand for this versatile product, which is widely used in food processing, cosmetics, and personal care products. China's booming automotive industry also relies heavily on Malaysian rubber for the production of tires and various vehicle components. Without a steady supply of these resources, China's manufacturing and consumer goods industries would face cost increases and delays, which would hinder production and affect both local and international markets. Beyond palm oil and rubber, Malaysia also exports a significant amount of electronic components to China. Malaysia is one of the top producers of semiconductors, a foundational element in modern technology, from smartphones to industrial machines. Chinese companies, especially those in the electronics and tech sectors, depend on a reliable supply of these components to meet production demands and stay competitive on the global market. If Malaysia were to withdraw its exports, China would face a slowdown in its manufacturing sectors, leading to delays and increased costs in producing everything from consumer electronics to automobiles. This dependency shows how interconnected these two economies are and how Malaysia's resources are crucial to sustaining China's economic momentum. Nation 3, Japan. Japan, one of the world's most technologically advanced nations, heavily relies on Malaysia for two critical resources: natural gas and electronic components. Japan imports a significant portion of its liquefied natural gas (LNG) from Malaysia to fuel its energy needs. Since Japan has limited domestic energy resources, this steady supply from Malaysia is essential for keeping Japan's industries, transportation, and households running smoothly. Any disruption in this energy flow could lead to a surge in energy costs and force Japan to seek alternative, likely more expensive, suppliers, which would impact both consumers and manufacturers. In addition to energy, Japan also depends on Malaysia for a steady stream of electronic components that fuel its massive tech and automotive industries. Malaysia's highly developed electronics manufacturing sector supplies Japan with semiconductors and other key parts used in everything from consumer electronics to advanced machinery. Japanese companies such as Toyota, Sony, and Panasonic depend on these components to meet production demands and sustain their global competitiveness. A breakdown in this supply chain would disrupt production schedules, lead to delays, and potentially harm Japan's economy by affecting exports and domestic sales. Without Malaysia's reliable exports of natural gas and electronic components, Japan would face significant hurdles in maintaining its position as a leading manufacturer and exporter. This dependency underscores Malaysia's role as a critical partner in Japan's industrial landscape and highlights how the loss of Malaysia's resources would ripple across Japanese society and economy. Section 5 Nation 4 India. India, with its booming population and expanding economy, is one of the largest consumers of Malaysian palm oil, a staple in both cooking and industry. Palm oil is widely used in India for food preparation, cosmetics, and various industrial applications. Malaysia's abundant production meets a significant portion of India's demand, and without this supply, India would face a serious shortage of this essential commodity. The result would likely be a sharp increase in prices for palm oil-based products, impacting millions of households and businesses across the country. Finding alternative suppliers could be difficult and expensive, putting pressure on India's economy and food supply chain. In addition to palm oil, Malaysia is an important supplier of machinery and electronic parts to India. Malaysia's contributions in these areas are essential for India's industrial growth, which relies on a continuous flow of technology imports for manufacturing, infrastructure development, and even defense. As India continues to modernize and expand its tech and industrial sectors, the demand for machinery and technology components from reliable partners like Malaysia remains high. Disruptions in the supply chain would slow India's growth, increase costs, and hinder the country's development goals. If Malaysia were to stop exporting these critical resources, India would be forced to search for alternatives that may not match the cost effectiveness and quality Malaysia provides. This would strain India's food industry and create bottlenecks in industrial growth, underscoring the importance of Malaysia's role in sustaining India's rapid economic ascent. Section 6 Nation 5 The United States. The United States, a global leader in technology and innovation, is another nation that depends significantly on Malaysia for essential imports, particularly in the tech industry. Malaysia is a top producer of semiconductors, a crucial component for the U.S. tech industry. From smartphones and computers to automotive electronics and medical devices, these semiconductors are the backbone of countless industries in the United States. If Malaysia were to halt these exports, the U.S. would face severe production delays, increasing costs, and potentially creating a backlog across various industries. Beyond semiconductors, Malaysia also supplies the U.S. with natural resources like rubber and palm oil, which are essential for various manufacturing sectors. Rubber is used in the healthcare industry for items like gloves and in the automotive sector for tires and parts. Palm oil, meanwhile, is found in numerous food and cosmetic products in the U.S. If the U.S. were to lose access to Malaysia's supplies, it would experience delays and price increases in products that Americans use daily, creating shortages and potential economic strain. In short, Malaysia's exports are vital to keeping production lines moving across the United States. A loss of these resources would create a significant disruption, highlighting just how essential Malaysia is to sustaining the operations of some of the world's most influential companies and industries. As we've explored, Malaysia's impact on the global economy extends far beyond its borders. Singapore, China, Japan, India, and the United States all rely heavily on Malaysia's unique resources, from energy and natural resources to advanced electronics and critical trade routes. Each of these countries would face serious challenges, rising costs, shortages, and production delays if Malaysia's support were suddenly taken away. This undeniable influence shows just how crucial Malaysia is in the intricate web of global trade and production. Malaysia's resources and strategic partnerships sustain economies, power industries, and help.
Wow guys, asli ini membuat saya kaget guys ya, membuat saya terkejut. Rupanya ya, dalam keheningan Malaysia ini sangat berbahaya ya, sangat berpengaruh. Bahkan negara-negara besar ya yang sangat berkuasa itu bergantung kepada Malaysia. Ini sungguh sangat mengejutkan bagi saya guys. Saya kaget ya, ternyata tidak seperti arus yang beriak ya dalam ketenangan, tapi Malaysia ini sangat-sangat mematikan, sangat mengejutkan bagi saya guys ya. 5 negara ini bukan kaleng-kaleng, bukan calang-calang kata orang Malaysia ya. Yang pertama kita bahas Singapura. Siapa yang nggak tahu Singapura, guys? Negara yang super maju ya. Dari segi teknologi dan pendidikannya, kesehatannya, semuanya fasilitas itu kelas A ya, guys ya. Bahkan Singapura negara maju seperti itu pun bergantung kepada Malaysia. Bayangkan, guys. Air jernih dari Singapura itu berasal dari Malaysia. Mereka tetap bergantung kepada Malaysia. Apabila Malaysia tidak mensuplai air bersih kepada Singapura, maka akan ada sesuatu hal tragedi yang terjadi, kepanikan di negara itu, guys ya. Singapura sangat bergantung dari Malaysia, dari air jernihnya. Bahkan bukan hanya Singapura, guys. Yang kedua kita bahas itu adalah Cina Tiongkok. Cina Tiongkok kalian tahu kan, guys ya. Cina Tiongkok itu kalau di Indonesia perannya sangat besar ya. Banyak produk yang dia masukkan, dari itu handphone ya, alat elektronik, kereta, motosikal, banyak ya, guys ya, produk asal Tiongkok ini yang ada di Indonesia. Pengaruhnya Tiongkok ini sangat besar sekali, guys ya, termasuk tentang ekonomi secara global. Tapi apa, guys, yang sangat mengejutkan bahwa Cina Tiongkok ini pun bergantung dari Malaysia. Gila nggak tuh, guys ya? Bagaimana peran Malaysia di dalam diam, tapi sangat berbahaya ya, sangat berpengaruh karena semua bergantung dengan Malaysia. Bukan hanya Cina ya, guys ya. Kurang apa Cina? Jepang ya, guys ya. Jepang tahu ya kan, guys ya. Negara teknologi, bahkan bisa membuat robot apapun itu bisa dibentuk menjadi robot ya, guys ya. Kalau di Jepang itu ya. Ternyata negara yang super canggih secara teknologi masih bergantung dengan Malaysia, guys. Gila ya, guys ya. Bahwa gas, sumber daya alam, dan juga minyak kelapa sawit, Jepang itu impornya dari Malaysia. Apabila Malaysia stop, tentu akan ada satu kekacauan di Jepang ya, guys ya. Itu bisa saja terjadi. Tapi sampai saat ini kerjasama Jepang dan Malaysia itu sangat baik ya, guys ya. Bahkan bukan hanya Jepang, India. India itu adalah ekonomi yang paling berkembang di dunia saat ini, guys ya. Bahkan India pun bergantung dengan Malaysia, negara yang populasinya begitu sangat besar ya, guys ya. Itu bergantung dengan Malaysia dari kelapa sawitnya dan beberapa industri lainnya. Keren gak, guys ya? Keren sekali ya. Kalau menurut saya itu adalah satu prestasi yang luar biasa. Bahkan bukan hanya India, negara adik kuasa yang sangat berpengaruh di dunia ya, guys ya, yaitu Amerika. Gila nggak tuh, guys ya? Gimana saya bayangin ya, bahwa Amerika ternyata bergantung dengan Malaysia. Ini semua orang akan shock mendengar kabar ini ya, guys ya. Bahwa ternyata semikonduktor Malaysia ini betul-betul sangat mendunia sekali, guys ya. Bahkan pengaruh semikonduktor Malaysia itu sampai ke negara Amerika Serikat. Jadi memang negara Amerika Serikat ini ya penting ya. Penting sekali dan sangat-sangat perlu dengan negara Malaysia, guys. Bahkan kalian tahu kan, Amerika itu ya, negara yang besar, negara adik kuasa dari segala sektor, dia sangat menang ya, guys ya. Tapi apa ya, guys ya? Tapi kenyataannya apa? Bahwa dia sangat bergantung dari negara Malaysia. Dari negara Malaysia, ya 5 negara besar bergantung kepada negara Malaysia. Ini yang membuat saya shock ya, guys ya. Ini yang membuat saya kaget.